contribute and create a culture where we can lift each other up and make us the best online platform for entrepreneurs in the world, augmented by, of course, in-person events. On that note, hand over the floor back to my friend, philosopher, and guide, Axel Tillman, CEO of Pitch Global Group. Thank you.
So my first interview partner, and it's my great pleasure to have him join our conversation, is Raymond Zheng from Honda Accelerator.
Hello, everybody. Yeah,
Raymond?
actually, it's Honda Accelerator. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very nice to see everybody. Very totally agree with Casey here. I think the ecosystem, entrepreneur helping each other, corporate helping entrepreneurs, and investors helping entrepreneurs, and all the three party working together is actually very critical for the success of everybody in this community. So couldn't agree more. It's a pleasure to be here, Axel.
So Raymond, it has been a few months. I'm very excited to hear what are actually the milestone updates out of set by you. I read a little bit about many exciting things that have been happening. You are very much in everybody's mind, but love to hear what the current updates are.
Yes. Well, before I give the current update, I think there are people that I haven't met. So just to can I give a quick short?
Oh, sure, please.
15 minutes. So our team is called Honda Accelerator Venture, actually. We are doing two things. One is the accelerator part, which is, some people call it open innovation. So basically it's introducing startup to the internal teams in Honda to facilitate, start with POC and maybe then go with joint development and sort of collaboration opportunities. The second piece is venturing part, right? We actually are part of the venturing arm of Honda, the motor company, but we actually do a lot more than automotive. We invest in early stage startup, typically $1 to $5 million check size. And there are two kind of general big area invest in. One is, of course, around mobility. Our goal for 2050 is zero fatality. So you can imagine there's a very a high order to make sure we have zero fatality by 2050 on all our vehicles, right? So which really, if you think about it, it's a lot to do with AI, with safety, with collision prevention, with kind of how to be safe when even during a collision. So that's easy to understand as AI robotic technology. The second piece is that because Honda has been the biggest engine manufacturing in the world, to be honest, is we produce about 10 million engines, including not just cars, motorcycles, but all the other kind of Honda gear. So the challenge we have is how do we make sure it's sustainable? So the second piece is actually zero carbon in all our products. So we are doing a lot on energy. We're investing a lot on energy, on recycling, and also carbon neutrality. So if any startup wanted to talk to us and in those areas, happy to engage and see how we can work together. So in the past, before this year, we have invested in multiple technologies around energy sourcing and battery, EV, recycling type of technology. This year, it's been a slow year, I would have to say, compared to the previous year, as most of you can probably see. So up to now, we have invested in a motor technology, actually, that doesn't use magnets, right? So this goes to the theme of how do we create mobility without impacting the environment. So one of this is, we don't dig out the rare earth metals from the earth. That's one way to do it. So we invested in one of those company. The other one we have not officially announced, hopefully I think it's either today or early next week, is around semiconductor, AI chipset, actually. One of the problem I think most people realize these days, AI it consumes so much power and energy. And it wouldn't particularly work in a car because, if we're going to go with EV, and you drink a lot of energy and electricity out of the battery, it doesn't really quite work. So we are investing in a company that's going to have a very low power consumption for inferencing for automotive. So that's sort of happening in this year.
This is very exciting news, but you also are on the borderline. If it supports the health of the driver, you could be interested in supporting technology out of the healthcare market as well.
That's right. One of the things that we have been looking at for many years now is to how do we know the state of the driver in the car, right? And that actually faces a lot of challenges. It's not just vital sign we need, but also how do we, take a look at the vital sign while the car is moving, while all these vibrations happening in the car. So that's very much health related. And it's not just about driving. We also, if we can help the driver and their family understanding health, because car is one of the part of your life, right? So it's another kind of modality where you can actually help people with health as well.
Yeah, especially if you could intervene in street rage, if you can detect the early signs and lock the doors before anything happens, would be a wonderful interaction for. So take us through the process. A company thinks they are interested, to which we also have to preempt they should really study what you're doing, right? They think they are interested, they are contacting you. What's the next process?
Right. So I have to say, just come to us. We actually have multiple members in different pieces. This is actually global operation. Where our team is North America. So just come to us and talk about your opportunity, and we can explore whether how well that will fit into it. If actually, so we will decide. We think of ourselves actually it's a gateway between the Honda R&D team. There are many R&D teams inside Honda and the external outside world with a startup. So we will do kind of matchmaking in thinking about, okay, so how do we fit into the overall strategy? And if there's applicable, which business unit we should introduce to. And we work very closely with the internal teams to make those introductions. When the POC actually do happen, the money actually come from the business units. It's not from us because we want the business unit, if they want to do a project, they have to have a skin in the game. They want to continue, have a longevity to the project and really fits their roadmap. So we want their commitment upfront. So.
Has it happened in your history? I know from other CVCs, they have a lot of technology portfolios that Honda is also offering startup companies access to technology portfolios inside Honda?
When you say technology portfolio,
licensing technology that Honda has, which you think is applicable to the startup company and would accelerate their growth?
Yes. So we actually haven't not had a case. I have 2 or 3 requests at this point, actually from the internal business unit and say, hey, we have this IP. I think it's going to be helpful for something, but this is not the business we're doing. Can you help us to talk to the startup and see if we can work together and take advantage of those together?
Interesting.
Yes, definitely. That's an interesting area that we have not explored too heavily, but it is actually seems to be out there, and we're looking forward to those opportunities as well.
And I think I read you have about $75 million annual budget. Does this include you annually can invest up to $75 million minus the cost of operation?
Yeah, so what happens is our team actually started off just a Honda Accelerator in 2017 up till maybe 3 years ago. And then 3 years ago, Honda think, well, you guys did such a great job because we actually do a few dozen POCs every year with the startups. And that has been the core of a business. But then 3 years ago, Honda corporate says, well, you guys did such a good job. Why don't we put the money where our mouth is? And so they give us 10 billion yen, which is about 65, unfortunately, because of the exchange rate. Good for you to travel, but it's not good for investment. It's become $65 million a year of budgets. It's actually come out of the balance sheet. So it's $65 million a year we can invest. So we allocate some of them to follow on because we do want to make sure we committed to the startup once we start it. And that's what we do. We're thinking maybe 20, 30 million that we can use or invest in each divided among the startups. Typically, we haven't really get up to this anyway. So,
if you would want to give advice to the attending entrepreneurs, what are 1, 2, or 3 top highlights of mistakes they should avoid when they approach you?
Mistakes. Well, so let me not comment on a mistake, but thinking about what we are interested in, that's probably a more relevant topic. So I talked about those big 2 area that we're focusing on, but Honda is a very engineering-driven company. I noticed one of the things that attracts attention, attracts investment or effort most from internal Honda is when you have a unique technology, something that has a very unique intellectual property, you have a mode, you have very few competitor because of special things you do, and your technology could be potentially quite a high impact to both the industry and the society. That's something that attracts our attention most, I would say. And of course, we invest in early stage startups. Seed A and B is maybe around like the bell curve. But hopefully you would have a prototype that prove the technology kind of work, right? And then we can introduce you to the right business units if that makes sense. And then they'll work together to kind of do the product market fit into the business units that we believe that makes more sense. So we kind of help them to guide it. Yeah.
I don't know whether you can share, but have you had deals that fell apart on one single topic alone, unreasonable expectations of valuation?
Interesting question here. Do we have one factor that failed alone?
So we at Pitch Global are teaching a lot of things, and I just acquired from one of our big mentors and ecosystem partners, Dr. Chris Apfel, spreadsheet technology, I have to actually say, where you can plug in multiple rounds of investment. And ultimately, for the entrepreneur, you find out even if they want to go high initially, if they go much lower, it makes at the end only a difference of 1 or 2 points, right? So therefore, I actually advocate worry less about the valuation and worry that you get the money to get to the next step.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It's bigger. The answer is bigger than the questions, I think, because for us, we are focusing on strategic value more than the financial return, right? There are 2 views in the industry today, right? One is more closer to the financial VC side, where they wanted a quick return, they wanted to have return their funds if possible. So they're really looking at how much money the startup can bring them in their financial side of return. So that they really look at the current business tractions and whatnot. We are on the other side of the spectrum where, yes, if your returns great, but for the whole business for Honda, we wanted to be able to help our product, our technology, and we wanted to have a partner that continue to work with us and do things together. So we care more about the strategic value than the financial value. In that sense, we are somewhat flexible in the valuation. Now, one thing to say is that if you have too high a valuation, you actually get yourself into trouble in the future too. So you have to be reasonable. You have to be, particularly in the early stage, if you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you have a down round in the future, right? That's really not good for morale and not good for other investors to come in the next round. So you have to balance that. We doesn't care as much. We don't want to be, the valuation have too much, but we really drive to see if we can create an opportunity where we can actually work together with the collaboration, with a little bit of, we just usually do maybe 7-10% equity is just get observer seats. It's actually what we're trying to make sure that we could do that for important startup that we invest in, right?
Is there any single audience question right now? Otherwise, I will thank you so much for the deep insights. It is for me always a big pleasure to have you. And when you look at the back, it's so much a pleasure. You're sitting there on my backdrop from a great online in-person session that we had, which I enjoyed very much, and I hope to see more of you in the near-term future. Again, Raymond, thank you so much. Casey, you came already up, although you are up next anyhow, but you have a question?
Can you, Raymond, shed some light on Honda dealership networks? Because we have a company here, we are mentoring for CA government long term. They sell AI customer service to dealer networks and all, and they have very solid customers in Turkey and Europe. So how, if someone wants to get in, partner with your dealer network, what tips would you give them?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I have to be candid about this because there have been a few similar startup or something that dealt with dealers network side that came to us, and I have been helped push them into our team in North America, Honda America, which is based out of Torrance. Unfortunately, though, I haven't really gotten a lot of traction. Part of it is that so the dealerships looking for something a little bit more big, scaled up already because they didn't want to take the risk of working with the startup. So that's unfortunately still have a lot of this kind of thinking in the industry. That's my observation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Alex has some questions.
Alex,
you're
Okay, please go ahead.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, let me step in. I mean, I did refer to the MIT study where 95% of AI POCs fail. Clearly, it's a hard problem. We definitely understand that dealers cannot risk pissing off their customers, but we now have proof that we are resolving 60% of the calls across 40 deployments and growing. So it may be worth to talk again. So
Okay, definitely.
time for caution was last year. Time for growth is next year.
Right.
Okay,
Great.
thank you, Alex. And I will forward your deck over to Raymond so he can study what you're doing. Again, Raymond, thank you so much. And Casey will now introduce our next speaker. Ben has not joined. His New York clock is somewhere completely off.
I'll
So
send him an email just in case he comes in, he can join anytime. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce a tremendous connector and mover and shaker in the Washington, D.C. Ecosystem. Brief background: we have been mentoring Lyten batteries and part of CA government funded mentoring. And Lyten received $650 million from US EXIM Bank. And this group, the US Battery Assembly and Manufacturing Coalition, helped them with it. And just as a side note, Lyten introduced me to the former chair and CEO of US Exim Bank, and she attended event at Capitol Hill, DC, with 15 congressmen. I co-hosted on behalf of Alliance Indus Foundation, which where I'm secretary and board member as well, as in addition to my role in Peach Global. So on this note, we are really privileged to have Gabriel Joseph share the wisdom of how Lyten got 650 million and how under the current admin up to 25 million has become loosened. So entrepreneurs with some revenues, this is a chance to really tap in to highest level of funding in the country. So Gabriel, floor is yours, brother.
I have a question, Gabriel. Do you want to share your screen or you want me to share your deck?
I'll share the screen. I got,
Okay.
Well, you and Casey were introducing people. It was fine. And I'm going to take Raymond's cue and give just a little bit of background upon myself. So, Casey, thank you. Thank you all for being here. I always like to start off my presentations when I talk about what we do about two things. Number one, I've never worked for the government, never had an assignment, although I am a creature of the swamp. I've been here for over 40 years. I came out to volunteer for Ronald Reagan's reelection campaign. There was something new called computers that were being involved. And I automated the first presidential campaign. From there, technology's been my forte. In 1999, I created the robocall industry. In over 15 years, I made 8 billion phone calls. Figured out a way to be able to do that very fast. And yes, I'm the person that created that. So I learned a long time ago that it was you could spend $40 million trying to find the 10% of the people that liked your product and take you 3 years, or you could spend $40,000 and call everybody in the world and find the 90% of the people that hated what you do, but the same result, much faster. I have been connecting with people in technology all of my life. Obviously, we're dealing with AI and energy and cryptocurrencies and the like. And we offer our services as the United States Battery Manufacturers Coalition, Assemblers and Manufacturers Coalition. It's a coalition of businesses that are looking to, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of great ideas that are a tree falling in the forest that if you knew they existed, they would become the best thing since sliced bread. And we help with that. We don't do it as a charity. The interesting thing with what we do in lobbying and connecting is you cannot work on performance. So entities that we work with have to have some measure of assets, but every entity that's existed in America has equity. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint presentation now and I will go through this quickly and hopefully we can have some questions after. Need to share the screen here. Share. Share. All right. Is that on the screen for everybody to see?
Yes.
Great. Well,
I suggest you go to presentation mode, which eliminates the sequence. Okay.
There we go.
Perfect.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
So, as everybody, if anybody who's been involved in watching the administration since before they were elected, we have a transactional government that is looking for great ideas to fund that help accomplish their goals. It is evident that energy and pharmaceuticals are the focus of that. There are programs out there where entities, particularly if they accomplish these goals, can very quickly, and I'm talking about in a matter of 30 to 45 days, obtain up to $25 million. It can't go over $25 million in the particular program I'm talking about. And it doesn't even need to go to the board for approval. These things can be managed through senior vice president, executive vice president, and knowing who those people are and knowing what the focuses are is important. EXIM Bank is one of those. EXIM Bank is the Bank of America. They're commonly referred to out in Washington, D.C. here as the Bank of Boeing. All of these large Boeing purchases that you hear about where a government's buying 100 or 300 jets, Boeing goes to EXIM Bank and gets the financing for it. Because the terms for financing these jets are much better than what commercial banks offer. Typically, these loans are 15 to 20 years at 1.5% above LIBOR. Now, one of the entities that we've dealt with that I've been authorized to talk about by their CEO, Dan Cook, is a company called Lyten, which is a Silicon Valley company that's been in existence for 15 years. They came to us in October of last year. By February of last year, they had a commitment, February 6th to be exact, for a $650 million XM loan at 1.5% above LIBOR. I'm going to switch screens here a little bit and go to here. So this is EXIM's website. Can you still, is everybody, I'm still
Yeah.
sharing the screen, okay? All right. This is a particular page on EXIM's website that says Make More in America Initiative. This was created, reauthorized in 2019. And for lack of a better term, if you can do something to help the American businesses screw over China, this is where you want to be. So if you, and what Lyten has is a lithium-sulfur battery that does not use any rare earth minerals. And you can check out this web page. Again, I'm just showing it briefly along these lines. I need to move up here. This is Lyten's website. You know, they're powering an industrial revolution. Lyten has a very cool story about their 3D graphene battery technology as part of it. But what Lyten won funding for with XM was primarily the fact that their batteries have a higher performance than lithium ion. They do not require any rare earth minerals. And most importantly, in this day and age, they work optimally at 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, why is that important? Is that Lyten has customers in the 1040 corridor of America and of the world, all around the world, that are looking for stationary storage. And why that is important in this time of artificial intelligence and the presentation that we made to the federal government on their behalf is that AI is going to increase the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Anybody that's traveled overseas, it's very difficult to get 5G on your mobile phones. Well, if you don't have 5G on your mobile phones, you're going to be you're going to fall behind in the AI world. Next page here is what Lyten did with the paper that I'll be able to show you on the loan is that they have acquired all the assets of Northvolt. Northvolt was the battery entity in Europe that was supported by the European Union with debt and equity of over $15 billion. And in October, they declared bankruptcy. Well, the thing that had prevented Lyten from becoming mainstream and the competitors and what they were doing was they did not have the manufacturing capability, for example, to make all the batteries for Honda or for their neighbor, Tesla. So when Lyten received this letter from EXIM Bank, EXIM Bank takes you through several processes. And because they're dealing with the government, this is a FOIA document. So although it's written to Dan Cook and it's on EXIM letterhead, this is a FOIA document. And again, I have Dan's permission to show you parts of this. Again, this is, you know, you can see that's coming from the MMIA division, but I've highlighted these things. In December 2024, we introduced them in October. By December, this all happened. XM does two things. First of all, they give you a letter of interest, which means that you had to present to them to say, we're interested in this. Now give us all of your financials. And the financial review that XM takes people through is probably more difficult than anything I've seen from a commercial bank or a venture capitalist. But they're not looking for equity. What they're looking for is, can you pay back this loan? The highlighted yellow part here is very important. They went from a letter of interest to a final commitment initially of 221 million with a preliminary final commitment for another 429. But at the same time, when we were looking at this, the Northvolt opportunity came up. So if you can see down here, XM threw in another 25 million, which hits that thing that I was talking about, to be able to acquire manufacturing capability in Poland and bring it to California. Because the thing with XM Bank is you have to export a product, okay? You have to export it. So this is just a review of that. I encourage you to reach out to XM if you want to know more about this. Getting back to my presentation, and I'll blow this up again. Next page. What we do and what in connecting people is, you know, we're focusing on these four things right now that the government is very interested in. Energy, production of energy. We need more of it because of data centers. We're working on things where, I mean, I'm working on deals all over the country where people are looking to put in 1,000-megawatt systems. The interesting thing with Lyten is that because their batteries can operate at 115 degrees Fahrenheit, the cooling in a data center with Lyten batteries included is reduced by about 50%. So you can This is very attractive to state governments and others. One of the things, the issue for the basis of cryptocurrencies and this energy is once energy is used, it can't be reused. Okay, so you need to produce it over and over again. So that's the valuation, as we all know, for cryptocurrencies. Artificial intelligence, another area that we're working in, particularly with the military, is how is it validated? How is it truthful? How is it working on things? And so we're working with a company called Eighth Parallel, which has come up with a program that essentially does that. And we've introduced them to the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force and the Space Force because commanders are needing to get this information and know it's the truth, finding the citations and others. And, Eighth Parallel does an interesting thing. They say they don't call themselves a large language model. They call them a small language model. I encourage you to look up them as well. The issue where President Trump and his administration and Congress is now focusing on is battery sovereignty. Now, I did not arrange for President Trump to sign an AI directive last night right before my presentation to make my point, but I'd like to be able to tell you I did. Needless to say, it was a coda or an exclamation point to the wisdom of Casey and Alex for asking me to speak about this topic. And there's Fortune 500, ladies and gentlemen, and there's Fortune 1, the United States government. And if you can get the United States government to notice what you're doing, be a tree that they see and notice, they're throwing money after stuff right now. I mean, just take MJ Minerals. That entity is not going to produce enough rare earth minerals for Lyten to be able to buy as the second largest battery manufacturer in the world for another 3 years. But they still invested $440 million into it. Most interesting thing that we've been dealing with as the U.S. Battery Assembly and Manufacturers Coalition is carbon capture credits. And the reason for that is that Lyten, because their batteries do not use any hazardous minerals, in fact, the components of their batteries are compostable. So the EXIM Bank took that and Tesla's history of selling carbon capture credits on the open market, not on a regulated market, as collateral for the loan. So that every battery that they find. And then I always want to show this to people so that they understand, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between blue carbon capture credits and green carbon capture credits. Elon Musk and Tesla, and this is a report of all the $11 billion that Tesla has counted in carbon capture credits in the past 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, or since 2016 to 2024. The interesting part about 2024 is that they took $400 billion of their, $400 million of their carbon capture credits in the fourth quarter, and they issued paper against it at 12%, commercial paper, with the caveat that if Tesla stock went up 100 points, then Tesla would get the carbon capture credits back. So needless to say, after the election, all that worked out really well. They ended up getting them back. But carbon capture credits, going back to this screen real quick, is an area that a lot of people in Silicon Valley, energy development, new technology, whether you're and in Tesla's case, what Tesla does is they prevent carbon emissions. A lot of the things that we're doing around data centers and others with XM support is there's one thing in this world that eliminates carbon, actually two: plants and the ocean. So we're working on carbon elimination. Imagine, if you would, just hypothetically, but this is going on, a data center being built in the 1040 corridor where the average temperature is 85 degrees and sunny all the time. But around that is 20,000 acres of a product that absorbs more carbon than this 100 megawatt data center could emit, even with its own gas-fired turbines to be able to power it, over the next 100 years. And those are some of the things that we're doing. Those are some of the things that, believe it or not, if you export seed, farm equipment, manufacturing equipment, and others from America to a country that's building data centers, EXIM Bank will fund that. So I am at the end of my presentation. This is my contact. I'm sure Casey can move it on. We are dealing with a lot of people in data, information, technology, energy, all of which want to be introduced. So Casey, I think I'm out of time, but I can answer some questions if you'd like.
No, Gabriel, thank you. This was very high level even for us. So I would ask everybody to digest this first and then ask questions privately or offline. But once again, thank you for showing us change at the highest level in the world. And we are very grateful
You're
to
welcome.
you as well as for our long-term board member, Laszlo Horvath from Lyten, who introduced us. So, and thanks for coming to event in Capitol Hill with 15 congressmen. We ran for Alliance Indus Foundation, where we had the former chair of EXIM Bank as well. So thank you. Stop sharing screen. Now we are going to move on with our next program, which we'll make a roll call, give the order of presentation, then we will do the rest of the investor intros. And finally, we are going to let most people give 1 minute elevator pitch. This is something we are adding, but some of the best connections we have met is by letting whoever is in the audience give them a voice. So, Gabriel, thank you again. Let me just give the order, then we'll do rest of the investor intros. First company is AlixLabs. Second company is CrystalSonic. Third is Animate Bio. Fourth, 11th site was later, but he has to go. He's our favorite because we are mentoring him for 6, 7 years. So 11th site is 4. Then we have Jump Arrow. 5, ActTool 6, REGEN Village 7, Lucidify 8, GunSense 9, and TerraJoule is not on the list, but if Steve wants to present, we are also mentoring him, and so we are also more than happy to see his presentation. On that note, let's introduce the rest of the program, which is the next investor. I'm going by order I have written in my notebook. He is someone who's also very integral part of Pitch Global. This is a person who's a global connector, raised in DC, left DC, but DC never left him. So this is a person who's secretary of our corporate venture capital nominations board, Jim Hurd of Hurd Family Office. He attends Davos every year, and someone who really has helped us deepen relationships. And he also invested in Olive Flying Car Company in our event. So, Jim, floor is yours.
Great. Yeah, good to be with you today. Yeah, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I'm back there usually once a month or so. And I met Aleph Flying Car at one of your good events 6 years ago. And, the eVTOL electric vertical takeoff is growing and about to really hit people's awareness in the next 6 months as passengers start to, fly commercial traffic. I'm also working with a nuclear isotope startup and some space infrastructure companies, and just continuing to connect the dots on deep tech. So great to be with you today.
Great. And we have Jump Arrow here. They are as good as anyone in eVTOL. In fact, I just talked to your Olive Flying Car in Vinod Khosla event, and he says, wow, he really admires Carl a lot. So you will see his presentation. Next investor is someone who has invested in many very super early stage companies in our events. He cut his teeth in McKinsey and very involved in family office in various private equity, and he's also with Sway Capital. Raghu Iyer, our friend philosopher and guide. So Raghu was here earlier. I'm sure
he is there, but he is currently muted.
Okay, he will. We will. I'll text him once the other.
He says he has a conflict from 10:30 to 10, 9:30 to 10 because
All
he's
right.
running another meeting.
All
Then he
right.
will be
Okay.
coming
No
back.
problem. Sharon, why don't you then introduce yourself? Sharon is again, one of our long-term mentors. She sold her previous PR tech company to Interpublic, where she was senior executive. And now we have started new company in Singapore, which will cater to CVCs, fund of funds, and really high end. And Sharon is our executive director for Silicon Valley Access PTE. She's also a startup advisor to governments of Singapore and Taiwan. So Sharon, brief intro, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Your Sharon is someone who makes change happens, very well connected with investors. They fly her to Korea, they fly her to Singapore, or all the time. So our next investor is Vikas Gupta, my dear friend of Shell Ventures, who's also one of our long-term supporter. He was supposed to join at 9:30. Is he here already?
I'm here, Casey. Good
Okay,
to be here
fantastic.
and look forward to hearing the pitches. I'm with Shell Ventures, the venture capital of the CVC arm for Shell.
And they are the biggest CVC of Europe, right?
We used to be of Europe. Yes, we are. Of
Okay,
Europe, yes,
fantastic.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah, I texted you, congratulated you on that last year.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Next investor is Jerry Hakens. He used to run Thai Global, SoCal, and very well connected with investor ecosystem in Southern California. We are always encouraging our companies to pitch in Southern California as well. There are companies like Expert Dojo and all. They've invested in many, many companies in our network. And Jerry is affiliated with us. He's also a founder of Innovate Capital. And Jerry, let's hear your update again.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, wherever anyone's at. Great to always be on the calls here, and thank you for the opportunity, Axel and Casey. Yeah, Jerry Hykins. Formerly, I was executive director of Thai SoCal, which is one of 64 global chapters of the Thai Global Network, the world's largest entrepreneurial and one of the largest angel investor organizations globally. And happy to announce that I'm coming back on board part-time at the first of the year as executive director of the chapter again. And on the side, I'm also in the process of raising a venture fund, first-time emerging fund, to invest in what we refer to, my partner Arabian Prince and I, as diverse urban and rural founders who are traditionally overlooked by venture capital. And we're very interested in what we refer to as consumer cultural brands. So cultural technology and consumer brands that impact culture. And culture could be sports culture, music culture, food culture, sneaker culture. Arabian having invested in StockX back at the beginning, gaming culture. He invested in Twitch back in the beginning. So we're looking for founders that are doing things that regular traditional old time VCs just kind of don't get and understand. We are open to wanting to understand these founders who are getting overlooked. So
Great. Thank you, Jerry. Our next investor was a long-term innovation scout for SoftBank for almost a decade. Now she's affiliated with some private equity companies, and great to welcome Aditi Khurana back to our event.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'll be off video for another 10 minutes. But thank you, Casey, for having me. And yes, I've been with SoftBank Corp for almost 10 years. And I worked in business development. SoftBank Group is a global technology investment company in Japan, and it invests in fast growing companies in AI, mobility, robotics, digital platforms. And my team's goal is to support the create a deal flow and create an innovation pipeline for SoftBank and various departments within SoftBank. But we also support our portfolio companies by getting them helping them tap into the SoftBank network of partners. We have various operating businesses, telecom, digital, and we want our portfolio companies to create synergies with these companies. SoftBank has 400,000 enterprise customers. So that's the area where I worked. And yeah, I mean, in short, my role at SoftBank was to find great startups, build partnerships, and support growth across the SoftBank ecosystem.
Great. Thank you, Aditi. Our next investor is a dear friend of mine. He is part of University of Chicago Booth Angels. University of Chicago alums have gone to run companies like Microsoft, like Satya Nadella and others. So very powerful network. He's also raising climate tech fund now through Line Network. Phil Dillard, also, Army veteran, gets on stages with leading generals and policymakers, and really good guy and good friend. So Phil, floor is yours, brother.
Hey, Casey, thanks so much for the time and great to meet everyone here. As Casey mentioned, we're launching Fund 1 through Line Networks. Our primary focus is climate tech, early stage companies, focused on circular economy, waste to value, regenerative economy, and resilient infrastructure. This covers a number of the areas that you folks are talking about, whether it's power generation and transmission. We're working on a couple things on making data centers better and more efficient. I mean, any of these things that make us better users and managers of the resources that are available and building towards a more sustainable and resilient future. That's part of our areas of focus. We have 10 million committed into our first round and growing rapidly, north of 50 in 2026, and starting to allocate in Q1. Out of this fund, we're already working with a number of different companies and have been allocating with small checks and SPVs and working as a fractional CFO with some of the startups that we work with. Very excited to connect because we think the shift in 2026 is similar to what I've heard here. There's a lot more hands-on. There's a lot more consideration of how do we better use natural resources for domestic resilience as well as external exports. And we're working with some companies that are coming into the U.S. as well as trying to get out of the U.S. As they grow from early traction into growth stages. And very excited to see who's here in terms of the solutions that are available, but also some of the investors that we can collaborate with in getting some of these concepts from early stage into the growth stages and also potentially co-investing alongside. So really happy to be here, seeing some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while, and looking forward to just seeing how I can be helpful to anybody on the call. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Our last investor here, judge, is Jerry Baranano, who started and ran CA government programs and picked us as an affiliate 8 years ago and changed our lives. Now he's moved to Tennessee. He's become interested in health tech. He's EIR of Vanderbilt Health. He's also connected with Stanford Angels. Jerry, quick intro.
Thank you very much, Casey. As always, you give a great intro. Let's just get on with the show. I love to hear about all these new companies. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you. And our show also, there is method to the madness, and really excited. That's what we thrive for, boosting global entrepreneurs. We feel our ecosystem and culture we have built is second to none, and we can boost global entrepreneurs in a non-linear way, which often many others may miss the point. The first company, AlixLabs, is presenting from Sweden, and in our last event, they made senior director of Applied Material Ventures, $1 billion plus fund, and now they have had multiple rounds of meeting with Applied. So really excited to see the updates. They just closed to 14 million euro funding, but they are looking for 1 or 2 strategic CVC investors. So Jonas, floor is yours, brother.
Thank you, Casey, and thank you to let us back on here and take me through the presentation. So, based in South Sweden, Lund headquarter, where we look forward to come back for the B round. Thank you very much, Casey.
That's great. Wow. Perfect timing. So we have, why don't you just share what has transpired with Applied Materials Ventures and how we can really push you there more because we know the people.
Yeah, so we have engaged with Applied. We had face-to-face meeting at Semicon in Phoenix a bit more than a month ago. And we're engaging on the technical level as well as the venture. The problem is always with its big organization is to find a sponsor within the organization that takes on and look into the technology and determines where we are and if it fits the company's strategical moves ahead. So that's the most important thing. But since we now also have developed customer cases, like in Taiwan, we also have a different kind of opportunity to offer anyone like Applied, Tokyo Electron, or Lam. So I think it's an attractive opportunity and still definitely time to dig deep into our technology. And we would be happy to find additional people in the Applied organization to meet up with.
Great. And our executive director for our affiliate company, Silicon Valley Access, Sharon Sim, who you saw, she's also advisor to government of Taiwan. So we'll ask her to take a look and see if she can also push. And she also knows Victoria, who was one of the people behind Walden. So thank you. Stop sharing screen and do help the next company, CrystalSonic, and they will also help you in Lam Research Capital's, investor global challenge. So next company is CrystalSonic, and person presenting is Laura. She met Lam Research Capital in one of our previous online events, and they made a strategic investment in CrystalSonic. And now, but they are mostly funded from Arizona government grants. So now they are really getting to the next level. So fundraising more. So Laura, floor is yours.
Okay, can everyone see the screen and hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. My name's Laura Bathurst. I'm a CFO and co-founder of CrystalSonic. At CrystalSonic, we're developing an innovative technology that utilizes acoustic energy to deliver significant value across semiconductor manufacturing, both in terms of cost saving and superior results versus incumbent manufacturing techniques, and ultimately driving the adoption of higher performing devices that are being demanded of the global megatrends that we're all seeing. We're based in Phoenix, Arizona, and a spin-off from Professor Mariana Bertoni's lab in the Electrical Engineering Department at Arizona State University. We're a team of 10, and we've received a lot of interest both from the industry, be it device manufacturers or equipment manufacturers, but also we've been the award winners, be it the Lam Capital Competition winners back in 2024, also the National Semiconductor Technology Symposium awards last year in Washington, D.C., as well as various awards for innovation in Arizona. We've been funded primarily to date through government grants of around about $7 million. So our motivation, sure, they've confirmed the pain points, and we have a bunch of feasibility studies underway with some of these major players. And our goal is to raise 8 million to get us to a demonstration of our process on the 8-inch silicon carbide and 12-inch silicon being the relevant commercial diameters for these materials. With that, I will close and say thank you very much for listening. And please, if you have any questions.
Yeah, we did go over time,
Sorry.
so no, that's okay, but that cuts into the question time. But why don't you briefly say, after some strategic investment from Lam Research Capital, what is the follow-up partnership with them?
Lam remain very close to us. They have it's not a board seat, but we do have strategic meetings with them. And I mentioned here about the memory market. Lam, given its position in the global market, gets market intelligence way before we do, and we're able to tell us about these pain points with the die stacking approach. And so in partnership with them, we've been able to really move forward with developing that technique for silicon. And so we've been able to pivot whilst we still have a lot of focus on silicon carbide because that is still a huge market for us where we're getting a lot of attention. Just working with Lam, getting that market intel from them has been incredibly helpful for us. And I think there's an awful lot of interest in the silicon memory market. I mean, just given the sheer volume of that market. So it's been a great partnership.
Fantastic. So now stop sharing screen. The next company I'm really excited to introduce because we are launching memberships for startups we think we can accelerate. And even before formal launch of the membership, we have some members already. And this is one of them, Animate Bio, and person is Peter Licari. So Peter, we are really grateful and you had meetings with life science angels and all. Now we are gonna really push you more and really excited to see your updated pitch.
Great. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate the time. Hi, everybody. At Animate Biosciences, we're focused on solving the inflammation and fibrosis crisis that exists today. Quick summary of the company. We've raised 5.4 million, and the goal here was to develop an AI-driven platform to identify peptides that can solve fibrotic disease. We have 3 patents filed, and these are broad. They cover technology, composition of matter of all of our lead molecules, as well as methods of use. We've assembled a great team, those of us that are in the office every day, as well as advisory board and board of directors. We've demonstrated the new platform technology works, and it's capable of achieving, therapies in therapeutic areas with really, broad application. The reason I'm here is we've identified a lead peptide to enter clinical trials, and we want to start that pathway and fund it properly. So fibrotic disease accounts for up to 45% of global deaths. That's roughly 20 million lives, conservatively 20 million lives. And it is a complex problem, and it needs new technologies, and that's where Animate Biosciences comes in. So how do we do this? Our solution is 3 million. Really, the goal here is to get into people in the phase 1 trial, so complete preclinical and IND-enabling studies, get the IND done, dose the first patient, and of course, we'll continue developing the technology. We have a great team. We're confident we can accomplish this. And I want to thank you for the time and would love to speak with you.
Peter, thank you. We did go over time a bit, but Southern California, once again, we are really going to push you there as well. Thanks for coming to a couple of our Southern California events as well.
Great.
So thank you. Stop sharing screen. Great to see you in person. And our next company who's presenting is one of the first companies in CA government-funded mentoring. This is super smart person, PhD from Berkeley, attended MIT, and exited several companies. And what was really impressive is when I first met him, he was investor in Kiritsu Forum. And we always encourage companies, founders to join investing groups as well. That way, you get into the investor club and investors do less due diligence on you because you're already part of the club.
By the way,
So great to
Casey,
have Alex Golu
we
of
have a
Levinsight.
Casey, we will have a middle break after Alex. We have just gotten Tencacity Ventures to join.
Oh, perfect. All right. I mean, he can join. Alex is flexible. We can have Tencacity now.
Let's talk to him.
Yeah.
Ben.
Ben is someone we always can drop dead in our tracks. There's a person who has hosted us in his home in Atherton, someone who really cares about entrepreneurs with no BS, will do anything. Very few people in Silicon Valley are like that. So if Ben wants to get on now, we can have him now, or we can have him after Alex. Choice is yours, Axel.
Ben, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good. If you're good with me, can you hear me all right?
We can hear you all right. Thank you so much.
Alex, stop sharing screen and we'll get you after Ben Narasin.
Hi, Ben. How are you today?
It's been a busy week. I was originally obviously going to be in the Bay Area for this, but I got excited about a deal in New York City and I've been chasing it ever since. I just changed my flights for the third time, but now I have to come home. So
okay, it looks to me that you have to do one thing that you don't have to do in California: wear heavy clothes to protect yourself against the cold. So, Ben, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I actually had to take off my scarf.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your history. You have a long-term history, NEA with venture capital, and tell us about the evolution of your thinking.
Sure. So before I was a VC, I was an entrepreneur. I spent 25 years as a founder, from my first company, which I started at age 12, to an IPO of a .com of a company I started in 1993 and took public in 1999. After that, I ended up taking some time off. And I moved from New York City, where I am now, to the Bay Area, but by way of Incline Village, Nevada. So I ended up in California about 22 years ago. And I saw a pretty obvious gap to me, which was the gap in between venture and angel. Angel was a slow, torturous process to get a very small amount of money. But venture had just raised an enormous amount of money. So as an example, if you think about the evolution of venture, in the 90s, venture firms were single-digit hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe actually only $100 million. But with the coming of the bubble and all the explosion that technology provided, those funds routinely became, billion-dollar plus vehicles. And you don't really grow a venture firm by adding people. You do, but it's a very, very slow process because, these are people going to be with for 10 years. And it's just a very Sisyphean experience to try to get a job in venture. So I saw this gap. And the point of that is that the way you grow venture when you raise a bigger fund is to write bigger checks. So you had checks that were too big and checks that were too small. And in the middle were these smart people that now only needed a relatively modest amount of money compared to the past to be able to try out an idea. Seed back then was $500,000 to $1 million. It's what we now call pre-seed. So I started one of the first 2 institutional seed funds around 2007. Did that for 8 years, got to know, in addition to some phenomenal founders, over 300 tier 1 VCs. And a lot of them came to recruit me when I had some success via my founders, and I ended up doing traditional venture for about 7 years, mainly at NEA. Enterprise Associates was historically the largest venture firm in the world. I really loved them. But they just continued their seed practice. And while I was not there only to do seed, I did late stage rounds. I really love seed. And so I spun out of there to do my own seed fund, which is Tencacity, which they supported. We actually have 40 VCs as LPs. And so now I seek out what I consider to be the best companies in the world, writing $1 to $3 million checks, buying 10 to 20% of those companies, and trying to be there for the whole ride all the way to the end.
So what's the process if a company is approaching you? You probably have a very quick yay, nay, and then how it continues in the yay department.
I mean, ultimately, it's if I don't say wow in the first meeting, we're not going to have a second meeting. I don't get to yes in one meeting, but of those 10,000 pitches I saw over 2023 and 2024, I would guess that 4 or 5 dozen went to second meetings. So even that is super rare. I want to be courteous enough to tell you in the meeting if I'm not going to be an investor for you. So if it's not a fit, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to try to tell you why. And if I can be helpful within the frame of the time we've set aside for each other, then I will do that. But I don't want to have founders needlessly following up with me if I'm not a fit. And, you know, I always tell founders, obviously, you'd rather have interest in somebody funding you and you want to do the work on that. The second best thing you can have is a very clear and decisive answer that it's not a fit, so you can cross them off the list and allocate your time more appropriately.
That sounds actually extremely valuable to the founders. And how long is then the process if you think it is a fit and you're edging your way forward? Are you spending 3 to 4 months?
My process is usually take about 1 to 3 months, but like as an example, the company I'm chasing right now, it's like been 3 days, but I met him. He gave me half an hour. I got an hour and a half out of him. We had a very long lunch the next day. I did a bunch of work. I said, I want to do this deal. We had breakfast the next morning and I'm still working on it. It's going to take longer, but I mean, I think in this fund, the fastest deal I've done is sort of a week to 10 days. This one would actually break that record if we get there sooner, but it's not clear that we would. But normally it's much more in line with sort of a month plus. I have another deal that I'm very interested in, but I've been working on for a month and a half already, and there's still work to be done.
Okay, that's very insightful for our audience. And what are the verticals you are particularly interested in?
About a third of the fund is fintech, but other than that, I'm a generalist. I invest in anything except security, crypto, and medtech. Security meaning cyber. So like right now, the business I'm working on is a mobile app with social elements. But you know, the other business I'm working on is a road to rail truck that goes with autonomous and that goes from picking up a container on the road, drives down the highway, goes onto the rail tracks. This year I did a wildfire fighting robot. So I'm a generalist. It is generally the case that I would like to have some knowledge in the category, but it's not required. If I don't know what I don't know, it's almost impossible. If I know what I don't know, I can do the work and figure it out. So I don't
opportunity because I don't have the depth if I think the opportunity is world-changingly huge.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Casey.
Ben, we see you very bullish on LATAM and Mexico.
Hold on 1 second.
You know, on LinkedIn, I always see you talking so highly about Mexico and LATAM entrepreneurs and all. So what is your, it's 2 questions together.
Okay, continue.
So I see you
switched
very bullish on LinkedIn about commenting on LATAM, especially Mexican startups. So what's your general comment on entrepreneurs coming from that part of the world? And we have a company which is part agtech, part fintech, and they have a deal with Mexico's largest bank. So we'll send the deck to you just in case you can take a look. But in general,
Great.
what's your comment?
Sure. I'm actually going to drop the video only because for some reason I have 5 bars, but I'm not getting all your audio. So hopefully my pictures are good. There's my avatar. So now you can see the other version of me that entrepreneurs get to see. So LATAM, I have 3 investments in LATAM. 2 of them are absolutely crushing it. In fact, my number 1 company in terms of velocity, growth, and absolute revenue is a LATAM company. They are companies that, while I found through my network, are not, you know, they're not here. I mean, they're exclusively LATAM companies. Now, I have been debating quite a bit of late because the travel is exceptionally debilitating to me because I do so much of it. You know, in a period of a month and a half or less, I went to Guatemala, Colombia, Mexico, LA, Seattle, and New York. And it's like, wow. And I started to wonder if, you know what, at the end of the day, the very best founders, no matter where they are in the world, end up coming to the Bay Area. You know, they're there to look for money. They know that's where the most experienced and talented money is. And so I do believe I can find a lot of these companies in the US. Now, the 3 that I did, 1 came from a reference from another investor. 1 came from a reference from my lawyer, which, by the way, as I'm sure you know, lawyer references being viable is relatively rare. So that was a bonus. And then the other one came from us going down to see one of our companies and doing an event with them and finding them locally. Some very good talent.
Okay, that's a great answer. Once again, thank you. Ben, always a pleasure, and we will send you AgTools deck to you. I think you'd like it. They are based here in Southern California, but largely very strong in Mexico. They have partnership with biggest Mexican bank and has meetings with son of Carlos Slim multiple times. So thank you once again. And now I share the screen. Invite Alex Golu of Levensight to share
Thank
the.
you.
Alex, sorry. We only do this to the
Thank you,
best of
Ben.
us.
Hell, can you see me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good.
And we can see your deck.
And you see my deck. Can you see
Just
my
go to
deck or not?
presentation mode. Presentation mode.
But you see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go to presentation mode. I think this should work because as I do want to be able to jump around as questions come in. So as you all know, I'm Alex Golu, co-founder and CEO of Levensight. So what we do is we build customer-facing voice AI agents that augment entry-level positions in vertical markets. I want to expand on that. Customer-facing and voice is still very hard. You guys all have seen MIT's case study that 95% of POCs failed. I do have room for another million. 50K is okay to come into the safe. And if anybody wants to give us a Series A term sheet, we would be also open. But we think that next year we're going to be at 3 million ARR as Velo start selling our solutions. Thank you.
Great. We can take one question. Is there any question from our network? Are you also presenting in Southern California?
I am not aware of that, but if you invite me, I'll be happy to.
All right. There are a lot of car companies there. It is, we know companies, Stellantis invested a lot of money. So I think it's good after quite a while.
Stellantis actually is one of our customers over in Europe.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they invested in Lyten in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask Laszlo. You know him too. You can send him an email.
I do know Laszlo, but he was more excited about a battery company lately. So
I see. Blue Danube too is your investor, and they are from Hungary and all too.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk more. Let me get our heads around this and stop sharing screen. The next company is then we will go to the next company. Then if AgTools, is Martha there?
Yes, she is here. I just saw her.
Yes, I'm here. I was making
great.
time, but I'm here.
And at least we have got your company in Ben Narasin's mind because he's very bullish on fintech meets Mexico.
Perfect. Yes, and a couple things that I have to update you all that are happening with our tools that are really good.
Okay, please start.
Here's the PowerPoint. You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, AgTools, I am the founder of AgTools. The whole purpose here is to mitigate the risk and return as much money not only to the farmers, but also to all the supply chain, and also securing the global markets, especially now as the world's starting to shift all over the place. And the United States is starting to have a complete trade deficit on food and ag worldwide, meaning that we depend on many countries to be able to eat every day. And that is really risky. And I think the government is starting to finally realize it, something I said 30 years ago, and that finally they're starting to realize that we need to start implementing more policies and premises in the United States to feed the world and feed ourselves specifically. But more important, we have to make sure that we feed ourselves primarily on the new generations are driving the force of what we eat, which is food is medicine. And the fastest growing segment in the food industry, the fruits and vegetables, on a 3.54 trillion industry worldwide. So we're established brand, we have patent regulation, pilot team, and we're looking for funding. We're looking for anywhere from 1.5 to 3 million, depending on how we manage our growth as we are doing it right now. to be able to manage these large accounts and make sure that we stay focused on data, which is the only thing we do, data. And with that, I finish the presentation.
Yeah, can you say mention about your existing funding till now?
So we opened a round that was 1.25. We got 5.5 so far, and then we that's on my way on the road because we have another commitment of 300, but we opened it a little bit more to 3 million because of the growth that we're happening, we need more team members managing our accounts and technology.
And you have raised 5.4 million in the past.
So far we have placed. So far we have raised 5.4 on the bank, and we did with that. And with that, we have built this amount of customers for the largest in the world.
And can you talk about your partnerships in Mexico with their biggest bank and all that?
Sure. So Latin America starts with Mexico. Mexico is the biggest trade partner with the United States and Canada, and therefore Mr. Slim owns a company called HITS, and we are the partners with them to go after the largest customers, which are the banks and also the processing plants and the agricultural companies. And so we have been very successful with him, and also the telephone company. Remember, he owns Telmex. And guess where Telmex is? It's in rural areas. And guess what? Rural areas is the base of the pyramid, which are the farmers. So we already installed the system in Claro, Colombia. That's where I'll be next month in Colombia as we launch nationwide for all the farmers to have little teeny bits of data across the different parts of the country. So they start learning data through the process, and we charge through minutes as they use, and we get paid through the minutes. So that's the scalable on the telecommunications side of it. I come from telecommunications industry, so I understood all along that's why I approached Mr. Slim, because I understood the phone system is where we get to the farmers.
Wow, that's really a great business model when it is activated properly. Great. Really excited to see your update, Martha. We are
Can I ask you a
always...
quick question?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Martha, good to see you. I think I saw you in LA a few months ago, but yeah, good to see you. Can you just kind of like, at a high level, the traction that you have had and how does it position you, differentially vis-a-vis the competition? Because that's going to be your data is great, but still,
Right.
how you are different, and I understand it's scalable.
Right. I think the first one is the age that we are in. We, the people in this industry, in our company, are not too old to understand technology, not too young, not to understand business. That's very important because this is a heavy, it's a complicated industry. That's number one. Most of the companies that have tried this bring young people that think that it's coding, and it's not coding, it's understanding the brains. I have sociologists and psychologists on the team that understand the brains, and that I learned from Microsoft. If nobody else, that one thing lesson I learned from Microsoft 4 years ago, focus on how the brains are working so we're able to get the data. And then the third thing is that you cannot go against what we call row crops, the corn, the wheat, and the rice. So we never try to go there because there are, quote unquote, a lot of solutions. So we went under the next wave of growth. So like the dot-coms era, like right now, the AI, literally we're at the beginning of the food industry shifting where people are eating completely different.
Okay. You can talk to Raghu offline. I'll introduce you both. He has been a huge mentor.
Thank you, Raghu, for the question.
Companies like meat caregivers in our events, and he has mentored them, and they have now running 10 million, 20 million business. So thanks, Raghu, as well.
Thank you,
Our
Raghu.
next company is Stop Sharing Screen, is also an old friend of mine and ours from Nordic Impact Week, where we were mentors. He is based in Stanford, and he's founder of REGEN Village, and really glad to hear they are getting investments and revenues in Saudi and Middle East and other places. So pleasure to introduce James Ehrlich, founder of REGEN Village. Floor is
Hi,
yours.
everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Axel. I'm just going to log into our software.
Take your time. We have slightly extra time. because now we are not, Berkeley ran a very tight schedule. So today, Axel and I can go. We love this so much, we can go all day. But do whatever you have to do. Let's see a good update.
Sure. Okay. So, hi, everybody. I'm James Ehrlich, Stanford University. I've been at Stanford for 14 years. Moved from the School of Mechanical Engineering to where we are now in the School of Medicine. I am the Director of Compassionate Sustainability in the Center for Compassion, Altruism, Research, and Education. But I founded REGEN Villages in 2016 as a Dutch holding company. We raised 2 million euro from mostly family offices in the Nordics and UK and Germany and other places around the world. Some Saudi investment as well. And the main goal really of our company is to implement a platform for machine learning software that can help especially landowners, residential developers, local regional governments, eventually also sovereign wealth, pension, institutional funds, de-risk land opportunities, especially at the urban edge. Mexico. So we are really busy doing this. I will also say that we bifurcate because of my position still at Stanford University, where half or more of what we're doing is open source. And so that creates a platform and an ecosystem for universities, for industry partners to all be involved in this work.
Great.
So I'll stop to
James,
share there.
Awesome. We did go over time, but I really loved the progress, and I love that other presenters today, they are also reached out to you and they are interested in collaborating. That's what we want to foster on a global level, where it's just not, we are not a platform where you just come and pitch 10 minutes and you're gone. We are nucleus of one of the most powerful communities in the world and focusing on online, which we have not done till now because UC Berkeley did all the work for all these years. We never thought how to improve our online system, but we are going to take it to the ultimate level. So, James, once again, thank you. And by the way, I was at 90, where we are founding members, a party last night, and I met one investor, John, who was with Nokia Growth Partners before, and I met his daughter too, who just graduated, and she's into land conservation, looking for internship, this, that. I'll get you dialed in to
Please.
John.
Yeah, sure.
And he has his own fund, but he still manages some portfolio companies for NGP. Maybe give his daughter an intern and just get him involved. I
Sure.
think the fit is tremendous.
Thanks so much.
Casey, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Maybe
Sure,
James,
Raghu.
please just keep it short, because I think you are talking from a top-down view, but maybe James, will be good if you create a beachhead. You're trying to do a lot all at the same time. So maybe in like a quick couple of sentences you can tell what can you do to like prove this. This could be. And there is a heavy commercial angle. That's the way I'm thinking. Maybe you can just ask in 2 or 3 sentences.
Well,
Yeah.
very, very simply put, we have already shifted ag zoned land, ranch zoned land, to mixed use residential light commercial. This is a huge lever for the landowners, for the developers, for the local regional governments, because of the fact that we show and prove that these communities are a net burden reducer to those governments.
Great.
Yep.
And
Yep.
today this was more like an update, not really a pitch, because we wanted to see the bigger picture. So thank you again, Raghu and James.
Thank you.
Point well taken. Next company is GunSense, and one of our favorites, Michael Leon, who always refers great companies to us. So let's see the progress of GunSense. Where did Michael go? He was so active
He is
earlier
there.
on.
I'm
Oh,
here.
he's there. All right.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So everybody see my screen?
Yes, we see it now.
Yep. So thank you, Axel. Thank you, Casey, for the invitation and the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to see you. And congratulations on the update from you guys too. So I have a question for the audience out there, and thank you for attending. So who out there would like to solve the global pandemic of gun violence and mass shootings? Because that's what we are actually doing at GunSense. We are a real-time gun threat detection company, a SaaS model and hardware company, and I'll get into it. So the problem obviously is pretty well known for everybody. We did close an early round of 1.5 million. We were 50% oversubscribed late last year. We have an open round that's about 20% committed already for 3 million. And we anticipate in the next few months, we will open a later round for 50 million, which will allow us to scale rapidly. It'll allow us to expand our sales and marketing team, add more to our portfolio position and IP, and obviously engage with top-tier investment bank for that. We are involved with Cooley at this point, who is starting that process. Anticipated acquisition, maybe 3 years out. Labeled a couple of them that are interested in this acquisition at a later stage as we start to scale. But we are looking at a 10x year 3 revenue, which would produce an ROI of 22x on a $50 million investment. So it's a very attractive return on investment for investors. So appreciate the time. Take any questions.
We did go over time, but can you share a profile, like what kind of investors invested in your original round of 1.5 oversubscribed? We don't need to know the names, but just a profile.
Yeah, so the early part of that 1.5 was family and friends. It came internal. We did several family offices. We did some high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals. It was a smaller round, obviously, with smaller investors. The B round now is attracting lead investors. We are focused on CVCs and other family offices around the globe.
Okay, that's great to know. Stop sharing screen. And we now come to the last 2 companies. Next one is TerraJoule, and then we will end with Lucidify. So Steve Bessett, he was not on the original program, but he came in and we are a big fan of his. So Steve, if you're still there.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead then.
Share screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we see the screen.
Okay. Good morning. What's left of it? I'm here to talk about AI and data centers and power and cooling for data centers. So this is power is at the top of the stack. If you can't plug in the data center, you can't switch it on, you can't make your billions. So this is over the next 7 to 10 years is $1 trillion. It's a wide open opportunity, and it's a hardware opportunity, just to be clear. The forecasts are all over the place, but they are huge. What you hear about is critical is time to power. There are permit delays, connection delays, grid capacity. There's cooling, there's water, there's 5 nines reliability. Cost is a major issue going forwards, and also clean will still reemerge. We're seeking 1 to 1.5 million to reach this product readiness level, and we're about we're 610K in hard commitments. This will get us ready for the product and secure the first customer contracts. And that's our story. Thank you.
That's great. Any comment? I know Axel has been really evangelizing TerraJoule, which I love. So does Axel have any comment on this?
I mean, we know very clearly that at this current stage, there's obviously who is on first challenge, right? You're doing a good job. We are moving the thing forward. And I think if we can get the one aspect with the Australian company going, we will have a much easier time to close a larger round. Right now, we are on several edges. I mean, I have been involved in many of similar technologies, and the first initial push is the hardest one, as you probably experienced.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is, the technology is core. That's the first 95% of the hard part. The second 95% is finding an adoption pathway, finding out steps where people will actually commit, validate, other people then follow, it expands, and what's the fastest path to scale that we can actually execute. And so, that's a harder problem actually than the problem that we've already solved, which is the technology.
There's some Australian investors in Silicon Valley. One is BHP, one of the largest mining companies. I met them once. Then Telstra, which has changed its name. So maybe reach out at least to BHP, and they are in Palo Alto. They could. I mean, an Australian consulate is really very startup friendly. So I don't know. There could be some, loop there. So on that note, stop sharing screen. Now we come to the last company. I think this last company is very good for Thai SoCal Angels. Person, she's a physician plus thought leader with Singularity University, connected to Harvard. She's founder of Lucidify and has angel investments from industry, very smart money industry leaders, and really excited to welcome back our friend Divya of Lucidify. So, floor is yours, Divya. Divya Chandra, please share screen and
Is it sharing?
take the floor. Yeah, it is.
Okay, wonderful. And you can see the title slide, yes?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, hello, I'm Divya Chander. I'm the founder and CEO of Lucidify, and I'm going to be introducing you to a transformative neurotechnology company that is the first in the world to triage the brain by turning brainwaves into a vital sign. Sorry, I'm in two different screens. Okay. So delirium in the ICU is a waking nightmare. It's a form of acute brain failure, and it's marked by altered levels of consciousness, hallucinations, delusions, and a breakdown in attention and thinking. Now, Lucidify found its way to solving the delirium crisis after a customer discovery process with more than 100 stakeholders. We are experts with combined decades of experience in brain-computer interfaces, artificial intelligence, cyber health security, software-hardware integration, and med device innovation. And they have developed and scaled products across healthcare and consumer markets and also exited companies. One of them is also on this call. So, to summarize, our detection to treat approach serves as a cognitive vaccine that will protect aging brains and promote cognitive health span. Lucidify's ultimate vision is to triage brain health and make the EEG a vital sign. And we are very open to having any of you reach out to either invest or just to partner with us. Thank you.
We can take one more question. And Divya, because you joined in late, we have some amazing super connectors from SoCal here. A couple of them like Jerry Hakins, Raghu Iyer. Raghu has led early stage investments in our companies many times. Jerry is again becoming executive director of Thai SoCal. So I think that's a really good market, and these people will give you some guidance. So on that note, any last question?
Jerry has a question.
Jerry, go ahead.
Actually, and I apologize if I miss it, but what classification are you and where are you at with clearance and approval with what's the timeline look?
Yep. Let me see if I can get myself in here. So we are going for a 510K. No, I didn't actually touch it in the 6 minutes. It's really hard to get all that done. We anticipate within 18 to 24 months that we should have that 510K. And next year, after we complete the Stanford trial, we're going to be applying for our FDA pre-sub. But I do want to say, so that's the delirium use case. We actually do have another use case which we already have incoming customer interest in, and we do not need that FDA approval for this. So we have clinically validated that we have sleep staging algorithms that function as well as getting a full 10/20 cap, in the at the hospital for 24-hour monitoring. And we can actually do this in the home. Right now, we are actually comparing this against home devices that do obstructive sleep apnea as well. But the bottom line is that, these watches, the actigraphy, the Oura Ring, none of that actually gets to ground truth, which are brain waves. And we are very, very good at doing that, even in the wild.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Great to see you, Divya. Let's
Hi.
connect. Nextcube, is moving up the value chain. So you have my mobile. Please just text me. And we're connected on LinkedIn as well, but great progress. I think it's been 6 to 7 months.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm happy to reconnect.
Great. Now stop sharing screen.